So, Jim, we are exactly 20 days away from the MLB trade deadline. You have a piece up on allphly.com this week about kind of this pivotal time of the year. You're heading into the All-Star break. Trade deadline quickly approaches after that. 20 days out. You know, I went yesterday and refreshed myself with Dave Dombrowski's trade history across his career, and there is some major Hall of Fame movement throughout his career. 20 days out, what is your impression? Obviously, we know bullpen arms are usually something all playoff teams try to add. Maybe a right-handed outfield bat of the sort. Do you feel as though I think they're definitely going to be active. I think that's fair to say. But do you have any kind of sense of major to minor, or is that still an ongoing kind of evaluation here?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call any trade minor for the simple reason sometimes it's that small around the edges trade that you make, the Scott Air,
Sure.
Joe Blanton, that, helps lift you over the top. It's not always the Cliff Lee trade. I mean, sometimes you need a Cliff Lee trade. You need an ace, but they're not in that position. They have done so much of their heavy lifting in recent off seasons that I'm not sure there's a lot of heavy lifting at this trade deadline. I do believe there are improvements to be made. I do believe they need a bullpen arm. They're very heavy in lefties. They could use maybe another right-handed kind of stun gun late in the game. And if he has playoff experience, all the better. Strikeout arm, all the better. And I do believe they need help in the outfield to help the outfield production in left field, and probably in a platoon situation with Marsh, who hit a home run last night, who's hit righties very well. If you could find a kind of a left field type that you could platoon with him, and the cumulative player might be pretty good. And there are guys out there. There are left-handed, right-handed hitting outfielders that can produce. I mean, Lane Thomas in Washington might be a nice fit. He hits
I wanted
lefties.
him last year, yeah.
Yeah, he might be a really, really nice fit. I'm sure they're considering a guy like that. Taylor Ward in Anaheim, similar, hits lefties, might be a really nice fit. We're going to see Brent Rooker come through here with Oakland later this week. Good, productive hitter. He's not going to be cheap. He's a DH. He doesn't play defense. That's a strike against him. Because when you have this quality of a team and this quality of a pitching staff, defense really matters. We've seen it in the past over here. It's a big reason Kyle Schwarber is your DH, not your left fielder. They're trying to improve their defense. So Rooker, a productive hitter, but profiles as a DH on a team loaded with DHs. Strikes out. That's not ideal on a team that can go periods where they strike out a lot and swing a lot. And there's others out there. I mean, I'm a Tyler O'Neill fan, strikes out a little bit, but he produces. But the Red Sox are right there. They're right there. So they've improved. I doubt he'll probably be moved. And there, Tommy Pham is like this traditionally mentioned right-handed bat trade candidate. I've never sensed a ton of interest from the Phillies. Who knows if this is the year? And of course, Luis Robert is out there. I just don't know if they have an appetite for it or a need for a deal that big because, the Chicago White Sox, being the kind of train wreck they are with a young new general manager, he's going to try to make a defining, franchise-changing deal for this guy and bring in a humongo haul of talent. And I don't know that the Phillies want to do that, kind of blow up their farm system and some of their top guys to get him. Because they've set a very high price on him. He's a good player. He's under contract, but I think the Phillies are going to be protective of some of their top guys. And, I hear a lot of, is this the year to go all in? To me, they're already all in. You have a $300 million first baseman, a $300 million shortstop, a $100 million right fielder, a $100 million catcher, 100 plus in Aaron Nola, and a guy next 3 years is going to make 43 per over 3 years in Zach Wheeler. Who am I missing? I mean, you're already in.
Kyle Schwarber's like 80 million, so he's close.
Schwarber's 80 million. Yeah. You've built this team over the last 4 or 5 years around stars. I don't know that you need another star when I think a few tweaks might get you to where you need to go. I still think the biggest July acquisitions this team's going to make are Real Muto, Harper, and Schwarber. Schwarber certainly made his impact last night, big hit. Harper will, like I said, he's going to finish in probably the top 5 of the MVP. I fully expect that kind of second half. And Real Muto is, they're being smart with him, and he's going to come back healthy, and you're going to get a lot out of him. So I think, to win this World Series, which, that's the stakes. They need to win the World Series one of these next couple of years here. Star talent, big payrolls, not getting any younger. They need to win one. You're going to win this thing with the guys that are currently here. The guy that might come in is going to help, but you're going to win this thing if you win it with the guys that are currently here. And that's what you need most, is production from the guys that you've gone out over the last few off seasons and brought in here.
Yeah, you bring up some great points, because it is a matter of who's selling, who's interested, and what are they looking for in return for a trade, because there's no reason to blow up the farm system. There's no reason to have to give up too much for the Phillies, especially with them already having so much talent that they've invested in. But as you mentioned, the stars that are already getting paid on the Phillies, there's some more stars that are hoping their name gets called this upcoming weekend, because with the trade deadline coming up, means the Major League Baseball draft is coming up Sunday. So, Jim, want to get your thoughts with the draft on Sunday. What are you expecting? We know we have the press conference today that we'll be tuning in for, as Brian Barber, who is the assistant GM for amateur scouting for the Phillies, is going to be speaking to the media today at 1 o'clock. So we'll hear more from him later. But for your side, what do you think the Phillies are going to be looking for, especially in the first round? What do you expect that they're going to be looking to draft?
Yeah, I think they're going to be looking to draft the player that they feel will be the best, most impactful big leaguer eventually. They're picking 27th. There's no way to crystal ball this thing. They're picking 27th. So there's 26 variables in front of them. So it's impossible. I've heard them linked to a catcher, a couple high school arms, an infielder. High school arms are generally the riskiest demographic in the draft, but Brian Barber has not been afraid to go that route with Abel and Painter. So if they like an arm and see the upside, I think they could go there. They could go a lot of college arms in this draft. Not sure what's going to be there at 27, but they're going to pick the guy that they think can be the best big leaguer. I don't think, when they picked Justin Crawford a couple of years ago, I don't think they said, we need a center fielder. No, we need a guy who's going to be a good big leaguer. And, it's nice that center field has been an issue around here for a long time, and maybe they have one coming. That's gravy, but you got to pick the guy who's going to be the best big leaguer, in my opinion. And I think that's the way Brian Barber will approach it. I mean, they, look at last year. They had Trey Turner at shortstop and a young, improving Alec Boehm at third base, and they still picked a left side infielder because they think Aiden Miller will end up being the best big leaguer. And that's why they picked him, and looks like a pretty good pick. He's progressing quite nicely. A lot of teams like him at the trade deadline. I don't think you're getting him, but he might be a really good one. But if they said, we're kind of set on the left side of the infield, we're not going to go near that kid. They just don't. I just don't think they operate that way. I don't think you can operate that way. This isn't the NBA where the guy steps in the next year. This isn't the NFL where the guy steps in the next year. There is the occasional Paul Skeens, but it takes time. There is a development curve that has to be, navigated over, and I think they will take that into account. And if it takes 3, 4, 5 years to get the best big leaguer here, that's the way I think they'll go. But at 27, it's too hard to crystal ball what they're going to end up with.
We all silly like the mayor.